Hello and welcome back to Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition with me, Bardon, the nameless one, Dakon, Anna, Mort, and Kasai, who was here not long ago. She's moved over here, I think, yeah. Now, we've gone all the way around, so I think it's now time to start checking rooms. Let's pop in here.
Right. We need to set up camp now.
I must rest.
There's nowhere we can rest us. So. Okay, so let's talk to Yves the Tail Chaser. This fetching young woman has a faraway look in her soft sea green eyes. Greetings. Greetings, I am Yves the Tail Chaser. What a coincidence. I too... Oh, it's more. What a coincidence. I too chase tails. Yves continues unperturbed. Have you come to trade tails? I'd like to trade tails. Yves nods. I'd like that very much, yes. Let's tell her the story of waking up in the mortuary. Yves leans forward as you tell her the tale of your awakening in the dustman's mortuary. She seems to devour your every word. As you finish, she smiles at you. I shall remember this tale. I too will tell a tale of the dustman. Chapter of Dust. Go on. There are chapters in the Dead Book, the massive tome which the dustmen keep that records the passing of all that lives into the eternal boundary. In this book, there are chapters that are naught but dust, but it is believed that the names therein are lost souls who cannot die, but must suffer life eternally until history itself dies and grants them release. I've another tale to share with you. Let's tell her the story of the Alley of Lingering Sighs. Yves leans forward as you tell the tale of the alley giving birth. She seems to devour your every word. As you finish, she smiles at you. I should remember this tale, and now I have one for you. Before I begin, I must ask, do you know what a Mordon is? Yes, we just met one over there. A modron, she said. Then I shall tell you the tale of the clock and the cauldron. Go on. Once upon a time there existed a modron. It was newly created, its logic fresh and untested, and it had come to Sigil, following commands of its modron superiors. Go on. It knew of nothing but commands and dictates, of obedience and passing along the orders of its superiors. For you see, modrons are only aware of the commands of their immediate superiors. They have no grasp of a higher authority. Until this one. Go on. One day it came upon a small shop, within which was a small clock that could no longer tell time. It was cracked along the edges, the wheels of its hands broken. The modron immediately set itself to work at getting the parts to fix the broken clock. Go on. It made a new wooden housing for the clock's parts, replacing the bent springs, carefully filed and oiled the clockwork machinery, and carved new hands from the sparse metal available to it. The newly repaired clock's precise ticking reminded it of the great gears of Mechas, and it comforted it as much as anything may comfort a modron. Go on. And what the modron never came to understand was that it truly loved this clock that it had worked on, and for reasons it could not explain, elected to remain in Sigil and be with the clock for the rest of its years. Oh, interesting. I have another tale to share with you. Okay, let's tell her the story of the Dream Builder. Yves leans forward as you tell the tale of a man who lost his ability to dream and commissioned the construction of a device that would allow him to dream once more. She seems to devour your every word. As you finish, she smiles at you. I should remember this tale, and now I have one for you, the Beekeeper's Tale. Go on. Once upon a time, a man came onto a field of hives. Upon this field he heard thousands of bees, but there was not a single bee to be seen. Amongst the hives walked a beekeeper, who was extracting the honeycomb from the apparently empty hives. Yet despite the lack of insects, the drone continued. The man was mystified. Go on. He made to speak with the beekeeper, who lifted his hood to reveal a creature made entirely of bees. A mouth-shaped depression formed in the massive insect, which made up the thing's face. The depression moved as the creature spoke. but the drone was such that its words could not be understood. The man died at that moment, trying to understand what it was that the beekeeper said. I have another tale to share with you. Eve nods. I'd like that very much. Okay, let's tell her of Requin's curse. Eve leans forward as you tell the tale of Requin's odiferous curse. She seems to devour your every word, and as you finish she smiles at you. I shall remember this tale, and now I have one for you, the Gilded Tale. Go on. Upon the plain of Isgard, in the Gilded Hall, where those sensates that seek the pleasure of gullet and loin can be found, they indulge these passions in earnest, never realizing that the doors of the hall never open, and that there is no clear path back to the civic fest hall. They are the unwanted sensates, the ones that do not truly believe in the faction, but instead seek only pleasure for pleasure's sake. Are prisoners who do not realize they are such truly prisoners. I have another tale to share with you. Ask one of your companions if they have a story to tell. Mort, do you have a story to trade? Me? Me? Why do I have to tell a story? Just tell a story, Mort. Fine, fine. An elderly man was sitting on a dark path, right? He wasn't certain of which direction to go, and he'd forgotten both where he was travelling to and who he was. He'd sat down for a moment to rest his weary legs, and suddenly looked up to see an elderly woman before him. She grinned toothlessly with a cackle, spoke. Now your third wish, what will it be? Go on, Mort. Third wish? The man was baffled. How can it be a third wish if I haven't had a first and second wish? You've had 2 wishes already, the hag said, but your second wish was for me to return everything to the way it was before you made your first wish. That's why you remember nothing, because everything is the way it was before you made any wishes. She cackled at the poor Burke. So it is that you have 1 wish left. All right, said the man. I don't believe this, but there's no harm in wishing. I wish to know who I am. Funny, said the old woman as she granted his wish and disappeared forever. That was your first wish. Eve smiles. An interesting tale, Mort. And now I've one for you and your companion. The Fiend's Game. A fiend sometimes wandered the wilderness of a certain prime world in the guise of a friendly old man. One day he came upon some hunters in the wood. What are you doing? The fiend asked. The hunters told him, and the fiend nodded. I have never been on a hunt before. The hunters invited the old man to come along, and the group eventually came upon a glade where several deer were grazing. The hunters carried crossbows, but did not fire, and the fiend asked why. They are unarmed, the hunters chuckled, patting their crossbows. We hunt nothing that does not have the ability to defend itself. After all, where's the sport in that? The fiend nodded at this and promptly gated in 3 of his fellows. The hunters led them on a merry chase, but eventually they were caught and eaten. Gated in. That must be some kind of fiend type thing. So the fiend basically decided to get them, hunt them. Okay. I have another tale to share with you. Eve nods. I would like that very much, yes. Let's ask Anna to tell a tale. I am no good at telling such things. I'm not. She frowns and waves her hands as if trying to shoo away the idea. Don't you be asking me for such nonsense now? Eve smiles at Anna, but I would very much like to hear your story. Just tell the story already, Anna. Please share your story, Anna. Come on already, fiendling. You already have one tale you won't part with. Anna looks uncomfortable, her tail slashing slowly back and forth. Well, I know one story. She suddenly becomes angry, glaring at Eve. But you might not like it. You won't, so don't be blaming me for your choking it out of me. Go ahead, Anna. Anna scowls, then finally relents with an exasperated sigh. I heard a story when I was a wee lass. This Burke's walking home real late, near Antipeak, and causing an old toothless crone in the dark, an otherwise empty street. Where are you going? She asks him. Home to me wife and Kip, he says. Near the Slags, she asks him. Sure enough, he says. She asks him a favour. To take a box she's got to Deader's Pit, and give it to the woman there. Now the Burke's a real sap too. Nice to say no despite the fact that he's sure something's not quite right about this old crone, and agrees. But what's the woman's name? He asks. Where does she live? Where should I look for her if she's not by the Deader's Pit? The woman hands him the box, a wooden thing, wrapped in a coloured cloth, and tells him to just go, and she'll be there. Finally she warns him, and whatever you do, do not open the box. So he takes it home with him and hides it in the rafters, thinking he'd bring it by the Deader's Pit when it's light out. His wife, though, seeing him hiding the box, gets right jealous, thinking it's a gift for her, for a lover or something, and opens it up as soon as he's not looking. Well, it turns out the box was full of gouged out eyes and severed male members, with the hair still on him. Her scream brought the Burke running. He remembered what the crone said, got right scared and wrapped the box back up. He went out straight away to Deader's Pit, and sure enough there was another old hag waiting there for him. He hands her the box, and she says to him, "This box has been opened and looked into." The poor Burke tries to deny it, but she gets this dreadful look on her face. "You've done something horrible," she tells him, then disappears. That done, he hurries back to his kit. He's feeling ill when he gets back and takes to bed, his wife bitterly regretting opening the box and all, but it was too late. The next day he died of a rotten disease, and the first thing to go was his eyes and stem. Anna nods grimly, her tale complete. Yves smiles. "That was a wonderful tale, Anna. You should never hesitate to share it. Now, I've one for you and your companion, the Parched Land. Once a large village was struck by a terrible drought. A farmer journeyed to the worshipping stone and again implored it to the cause of the drought. He asked the stone why it did nothing when the fields were parched and dying, why the animals and the people suffered while the stone did not a thing. Have we not given enough offerings? The farmer asked, begging also upon his hands and knees, but the stone did not respond. It merely sat and cast its shadow. I have another tale to share with you. Okay, so it gets Dakon's turn. Dakon nods solemnly. I shall impart the tale of Akali drowning. Dakon tells the story of Akali, a foolish Githzari of myth who had become lost in the chaos of Limbo. Normally a single Githzari may use their focus and mental discipline to form the chaos around them into a small habitable environment. Akali, however, asked so many useless and unfocused questions in her quest to return home that her Isle of Matter dissolved around her and she drowned. Yves smiles. Fascinating, Dakon. Let me share with you and your companion another version of your tale that I have heard. Dakon looks attentive, perhaps a little surprised. Go on, Yves. Yves tells a different version of Dakon's tale, in which Akali was driven from the Githzari city of Shraktlor for her constant useless prattling. One day she encountered a Sladdy. On his way to the spawning stone, she hastily erected a wall of chaos matter, which even a ravenous Sladdy found difficult to break down. Hungrily it waited and spoke to her through the wall. She asked it questions, and as she became more absorbed in her pointless queries and the Sladdy's answers, her own wall decayed and collapsed upon her, and thus she drowned in the matter of Limbo. I have another tale to share with you. Ask one of your companions that they have a story to tell. Yves awaits your story patiently. Actually, Yves, let me ask you a question. Yves nods quietly. Why are you called the Tail Chaser? Once upon a time, a girl came to an oracle who was rumored to know many things and asked it of a boon. Her life was in need of direction, so she asked this oracle as to what would give her purpose. Now, the oracle was not evil, but it was vague and tended towards drink, which caused it to be obscure in many matters of judgment and focus. Its only answer to the girl's question was that within one story that she would hear in her lifetime was the truth that she saw. The girl would often collect the stories, which she chases to this day, not knowing which of the 1,000 holds the truth. Such is the danger of a foolish question and the wisdom of an unspoken one. I had another question. What are you doing here? I collect tales and trade them with others with tales of their own. I had another question. Can you tell me about this place? This is part of Mistress Grace's story, which is not mine to tell. She has said that when she nears the end of her years, she shall tell me, and only if I pledge never to share it with another. She hopes that she will never need to tell me her tale, for she hopes I will find my own story before that time and leave this place. I think she fears my life will be squandered in searching for this tale, and not acting upon what I already know. Yves sighs softly, but it cannot be helped. Your own story? Once upon a time... oh, she's already told us that one. Okay. Wait, I had a question. Can you... oh no, we've already got that. I'm trying to find Vivian's scent. Do you know where it might be? Yves shakes her head. Speak with me, Nenny. She is forever pacing about, observing everything intently. I have another question. Do you know anything about Rabble Puzzlewell? The tale of Rabble Puzzlewell, frightener of children, begins and ends with a question. What can change the nature of a man? Go on. Many were the times she posed this riddle to those who approached her, those who sought to glean from her the strange magics that she alone seemed to possess. All attempted to answer her query, but to no avail, and they found the price of their wrong answer to be some horrible fate, always more terrible than the last victims. To recount their various torments would be to speak of things that nightmares are woven from. The tale strikes me in this way. Rabble herself knew not the answer to this question, but she lusted for such an answer. Only the why of the matter remained in question. Why did the nature of a man matter to one of the Grey Sisters, especially to one of such power as Rabble? It is said that she put the question to the Lady of Pain, not directly, but shouted it to Sigil itself, daring for the lady to answer. When no reply was forthcoming, she wove terrible magics that threatened to open the cage and let the fury of the plains roll in like a wave. She received no answer other than banishment. To this day, no one knows the answer to Rabble's question, and now there is no one to petition, for Rabble herself is gone, lost to the plains. I had another question. Wait, there is more. Though my tale ends with Rabble's demise, there are some that claim the hag still lives. There is a silent prostitute here who once talked of such things, but she speaks no longer. If she would speak to you, she might tell you more of Rabble. Oh, that's interesting. What else can you tell me of this silent prostitute? Echo, he frowns thinking. I once heard a tale of a girl who knew the word that, if spoken, would undo the multiverse. Perhaps this is Echo. Ask Delora though. I understand that she sometimes meets one who knew Echo before she stopped speaking. I had another question. Actually I don't. Never mind actually. Farewell. Okay, that was very interesting. So she said speak to Delora. So let's find Delora again. And then we'll go look in the other rooms later. Let's fall from grace. Delora must be... maybe she's around this way. Delora... ah, here she is over here. Delora's eyes flash as he sees you. Did you find him? Has he agreed to return the keys to my heart? No, not yet. Farewell. Oh, we got to solve that thing for her first. Okay, well, we could go around and look at the other rooms, but I think what I want to do is maybe go and find this guy in the fest hall.
All right.
So the fest hall is up in the northeast. So we're gonna go find the guy. We're not gonna get sidetracked. So is this the fest hall here? Looks like. Don't get sidetracked speaking. They're all sensates. Right, so those are the people we speak to at some other stage, but not right now. Ah, this is the fest hall here, okay. Hopefully. Yeah, Civic Fest Hall, okay. Splinter, Shalmi. Is it Shalmi we were to speak to?
Right. We need to set up camp now.
I must rest.
No, not you. Not you. Is it Shalmi? Shalmi's a woman though. I don't think so. So where is this person we have to speak to? They're just sensates. I think maybe he's in one of the rooms. That's not the person. Montague. Is that you? No, I don't think it's Montague. Okay, let's go on here then. Hang on, where's my dialogue? Can I look back? Oh, what are you doing? Look in your journal, you fool. Laura, speak to him. I agreed to speak to a man named Merriman. Okay. Okay, nobody named Merriman there. Sensei. No. No, they're all just sensates. Okay. Let's go through here. Nice music in here, by the way. No, you're not the person we want.
Right.
I don't think we have to go into that room.
I must rest.
Yeah, you can rest once we found Merriman. Thief and training. That's the guy we spoke to outside, isn't it? Yeah. So I don't think he's going to be in here. Let's go over here instead. These look like, okay, warrior in training. Who's the lead person? You? No, you're training. I don't see anybody named in here. Okay, so let's go through here. Sensate. Okay, not there either. Let's go out here. Splinter, Shalmi. We've heard the name Shalmi before. I'm pretty sure that. Okay, so what else is over here? There's more rooms over here. What's that?
Right. We need to set up camp now.
Oh, here he is here, Merriman. This man looks like a bitter, cantankerous old codger. His mouth is twisted into a frown that becomes even more severe as he notices you coming his way. Merryman, my name may be, but merry I am not. Off with you, young one. No time for the likes of you. He goes into a fit of coughing from the exertion of shooing you away loudly. Wait! Delora wanted me to speak with you. Merriman eyes you suspiciously. That's so? About what, eh? Well, she says that you're her first love, and as long as you hold the keys to her heart, she'll never be free to love another. She told you that, eh? I'm surprised. Perhaps leaving her under Mistress Grace's tutelage did what I couldn't. Started to develop her feelings. In any case, he pats his pocket on the tunic. I won't just give the key to you. Wait, those are literally the keys to her heart? He nods. That they are. The lore is a construct. Didn't you know that? A creature of sorcery and clockwork. Clockwork mechanics she is, and one of the finest creations. Merriman sighs, but cold, without emotional character. I brought her to the brothel and set her so that she could not leave, in the hopes that the constant contact with so many others would begin to develop her own personality. The keys are the tools used to set her. She wants them because she feels that they're limiting her personal growth. Growth now, I suspect. Then why don't you just return them to her? Because I've become a cruel and bitter old man who sees he can get something out of you. Go on then, what do you want? I want to forget. I've lived almost 150 years now, and I've seen every century stone I've cared to in this grand hall. I've little time left to live, and I am too weak to go out in search of wholly new experiences, so I need to find a way to forget them all. That way I can start again in my final days.
Updated
How can
my
I
journal.
help? I need something, some item, some concoction that will allow me to forget, like a draft of the river Styx, something like that. Right, I'll return if I find something. Farewell.
I must rest.
Okay, and it is farewell from us. So, from myself, the Nameless One, Dakon, Anna, Mort, and Merryman, who's making his merry way away there. It's goodbye, and we really do hope to see all of you next time. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, maybe you'll hit the subscribe button there on the right and check out some other videos here on the left.